What in the hell are the UFC doing? Holy fuck, they are fumbling. What's up, assholes? Welcome back to the channel. And today, I'm going to talk about how the UFC are fumbling 2025 and how this is shaping up to be one of the worst years we've had in recent memory. Holy fuck. Going into 2025, it seemed like this was going to be a big year for the UFC because we were opening up the card with UFC 311, which was a great card. And then the UFC Saudi, Amabov and Adesanya, that was a good card. 312 kind of died down a bit, but I was hyped for it because I was actually there. And then we're getting Pereira versus Big Ank, so that put up some hype. And then after that, we're like, what's going to be next? There were so many possibilities, like Jones versus Aspinall, the winner of Dricus and Sean versus Chimaev, which is Dricus, Islam versus Ilia, and just so many potential fights. And we're getting fucking none of them. So I'm going to rant about the fights that we're not getting, and about a fight that we are getting that just got announced today, and give my thoughts on them. Starting with Islam versus Ilia, Dana White. Book this fucking fight! Oh my god, why have we not booked this yet? Why are we still fucking pussyfooting around going, oh, Ilia needs to earn it. Oh, Islam's team won't accept it. Just fucking book this fight, Jesus Christ. Who cares that Ilia Topuria only had one title defense? He KO'd Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway back-to-back. Come on, those are the two best back-to-back wins in UFC history, and it's not even close. Actually, maybe it is close, but still, those are two of the best back-to-back wins ever. He literally just KO'd the two featherweight goats, and they're like, nah, we don't want to see it. Come on! What's the alternative? Islam versus fucking Justin Gaethje? Not a single soul wants to see that fight, but I guarantee you, because it's the fight no one wants, it's the fight that we're most likely going to get. The only other option I would accept is maybe Islam versus Arman. Like, I still would want to see that fight, even though Arman pulled out and the UFC are petty and they're not going to give him the fight. I wouldn't mind that, but just do Islam versus Ilia. You know how big that fight's going to be? You know the hype that we're going to get once they're walking out? The press conference, the fight week, the weigh-ins, just everything. I'm tired of these nerds going, oh, Ilia doesn't deserve it. Fucking, so what, Gaethje deserves it? Come on. The further we get into this fight not being booked, the more I start to realize the UFC are just fucking allergic to money. Like, Jesus Christ, 2025 is already shaping up to be a pretty mid-year for the UFC. We've got some decent pay-per-view cards coming up, but the fight nights have just been fucking dreadful. UFC London was boring. We've had a bunch of shitty Apex cards. We had a Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze fight that no one asked for. Like, come on, at least step it up for the pay-per-views. They're already doing fucking O'Malley versus Merab 2, which no one asked for, but we'll get to that later. If you can give a guy who has fraudulent star power an immediate title shot after a loss and only one defense, then you can give a guy like Ilia Topuria who has more star power, who just KO'd the two goats back-to-back and is undefeated, give him a fucking title shot. Jesus. At this point, I don't care if you do it in Abu Dhabi. Just make this fucking fight. Even if it's in the Apex. Actually, no. Don't do it in the Apex. But yeah, book it for International Fight Week if you can't get this next fight I'm about to talk about booked. If not, if you can get the next fight I'm going to talk about booked, I don't know, maybe do it in maybe July? I don't know. But yeah, moving on to the next one. Bruh, this fight is still not booked? Are you serious? Like, bro, just fucking strip Jones. I'm sick of this shit. Honestly. He's gonna sit out for another fucking 3 months, and then he's gonna finally retire, and we're gonna get fucking Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. That's what's gonna happen. Everyone keeps saying that Pereira losing the ankle live was good for the sport, because now we're gonna get Jones versus Aspinall. We're not gonna get Jones versus Aspinall. And Pereira fucking lost, so that means we're not gonna get Pereira versus Aspinall, which also would have been hype. Hell, even if Pereira won and Jones stuck around, and we got Pereira versus Jones, at least we would have gotten one super fight, even if we already know what's going to happen. Because now, we get nothing. Either way, Jones wasn't going to fight Aspinall, but at least if Pereira won, we would have gotten Jones versus Pereira, which would have been a super hype fight. Hell, even if Pereira won, we could have gotten Pereira versus Aspinall. But yeah, like I said, we get nothing. Dana, strip this fucking wife-beating P&E cheat of his belt. He's holding up the division. If it's not booked by International Fight Week, fucking strip Jones, like, seriously. Like, it's been a year and a half since Aspinall won the interim belt, And we're still not any closer to having this fight booked. Like, seriously. Get this fucking fight made, or just strip Jones. Fuck me. And now, finally, I'm going to rant about the fight that was just announced, and that was O'Malley versus Merab 2. And why the fuck is this being booked? Not a single living soul asked for this that's above the age of 12. Oh my god. Yeah, and what's worse is that this card's in New Jersey, and New Jersey cards are always underwhelming. And because it's got 2 title fights, technically, they're going to understack it, alright? I mean, Cheeto versus Batista's been announced for the card, but that fight's going to fucking suck, probably. I don't even know who else is on the card. I think Shamil Gaziev is on the card. I mean, that'll make it better. We all love Shamil Gaziev, but come on. This card's probably going to suck as well. And we have a main event that no one cares about. Like, this card is going to flop. O'Malley's not a pay-per-view draw as it is, no matter how much they try and dress it up like he is. And now we're putting him in a rematch that no one asked for. With a co-main event that also sucks. Like, this card's going to flop big time. It's bad enough that the UFC keep on giving undeserved title shots and rematches that no one asked for. So what do? They fucking do it again. Jesus Christ. In the last year, we've had Duplessis versus Strickland 2, a rematch which was overdue and we didn't care that much for. What else have we got? We had fucking Kai Asakura getting a title shot in his debut. We had Jones versus Stipe, which no one wanted. Pereira versus Khalil. I mean, that was a good fight, but still undeserved. What else? There's been a lot of them. Adesanya versus Duplessis, which was also undeserved. That's basically what this fight is, only less hype, because we've already seen it before. There's got to be more. Pantoja versus Usyk was kind of undeserved, but that's because Flyweight was kind of dead, so we can kind of give that one a pass. But yeah, there's been so many undeserved title shots in the last year, and rematches that we don't care for. Like, just book the fights we want, Jesus. It's bad enough that the fight nights have been shit. I mean, this weekend, what do we got? Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Wow, such a hype fight. The rest of the card sucks. Not too long ago, we had fucking Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. Another rematch no one asked for. It made no sense. UFC London was trash. UFC Mexico was eh. The UFC is fumbling so hard in 2025, honestly. It's sad to see where we are, because going into it, you had so many people saying that 2025 might be the best year. Like, there were so many possibilities. Of course, you had Islam versus Arman, which didn't end up happening. We had the possibility of Pereira at heavyweight, plus Pereira versus Ankalaev. Ilia versus Islam, possibly. Dricus versus Hamzat. Jones versus Aspinall. Islam at 170, potentially. Like, the possibilities were just endless. And now it looks like we're getting absolutely none of that. Except maybe Dricus versus Hamzat. But even that hasn't even fucking been announced yet, so we might not even get that. It's almost like the UFC just doesn't like pleasing their fans. They don't want us to be happy, so they're doing everything they can to give us the fights we don't want. Here's how you fix all this. Cancel O'Malley versus Merab. Do Merab versus Pantoja. And then you do Kai Kara France versus Manel Kape for the interim. You do Jan versus O'Malley 2 as a 5-round like co-main event or feature fight of a pay-per-view. You book Jones versus Aspinall. You book Islam versus Ilia. You give us all the fights you want to see instead of doing shitty rematches. Or, in like the lightweight division, instead of recycling the same contenders with just new champions like what they're doing with Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier. As Barney Stinson would say, new is always better. So give us new matchups with new contenders. Stop recycling the same rematches or recycling the same contenders over and over and over again. It's getting stale. And the company are wondering why pay-per-view sales are at an all-time low. Plus, it's fucking $80 for a pay-per-view. Like, honestly, I just go to a sports bar. It's much cheaper. And much less illegal than streaming, which people also do. And I don't blame them. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video today, guys. Just a little rant for today, you know. Well, that concludes the video for today, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, yada yada yada. But yeah, I know I haven't been active recently, and that's also because there hasn't been much to talk about. I mean, the UFC's been so dead recently with shitty fight nights, and finally they gave us an announcement today, so they gave me something to talk about. And also, I've been wanting to talk about for a while how the UFC been fumbling this year. Like, that's really all there is to talk about. That there is nothing to talk about. But yeah. I'll post the UFC 314 prediction video next week once it gets closer, which I'm excited for, and I'll do the post-fight recap and everything. Can't wait for that card. After weeks of drought, we're finally getting a good card, and I'll finally have content to make videos about. Even though it's probably going to be at the cost of watching Volk get slept again. But I'll say more about that later. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, share the video, repost, whatever. And I'll see you guys in the next video.